Welcome back to High Stakes. Today, we will be discussing the following NFL matches that is happening on Sunday, October 8th, 2023. We will be providing our team, total, and prop picks for the day. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. If you want access to our premium picks, you can check out our Patreon page. You can find the link to our Patreon page in the description and comments section below. Jacksonville Jaguars vs. Buffalo Bills. The Bills have emerged victorious in 3 out of their last 4 matches, displaying an impressive offensive performance. Currently, they hold the second position in the league for points scored per game. Their passing attack ranks among the best in the league, and their ground game is equally formidable. On the other hand, the Jaguars have excelled in defending against the run, but their pass defense has been lacking. It's likely that Allen will exploit their secondary in this upcoming game. The Jaguars have split their first 4 games and encountered challenges on the offensive front. While they excel in passing, their ground game falls short. In contrast, the Bills have excelled in pass defense and consistently put pressure on the quarterback, leading the league in sacks. With the addition of Von Miller to their lineup, they become even more formidable. Furthermore, the Bills are opportunistic, leading the league in takeaways, which means they are likely to create difficulties for Lawrence and his offense. Considering these factors, it is advisable to choose the Buffalo Bills to cover the spread. The Jaguars have been averaging a total of 20 points per game. However, when facing the Bills in their last 3 matchups, their average points scored dropped significantly to just 13.3 per game. Despite their proficiency in passing, they are going up against a formidable defense that has been limiting opponents to under 200 passing yards per game and allowing only 13.8 points per game. As a result, it is reasonable to anticipate that the Jaguars will fall short of their typical scoring average in this upcoming game. On the other hand, the Bills have been putting up an impressive average of 34.8 points per game. But in their recent encounters with the Jaguars, they only managed to score an average of 11 points per game. Considering that the Jaguars' defense has been conceding an average of 20.5 points per game, it's unlikely that the Bills will accumulate enough points to surpass the total. Additionally, it's worth noting that in 2 of their last 3 meetings, the Bills and Jaguars have finished with a total score below the set benchmark. Therefore, it's advisable to take the under in this game. Next we have Houston Texans vs. Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons offense has encountered significant struggles throughout this season, particularly due to their near non-existent passing game, which makes them relatively predictable and easier to strategize against. On the defensive front, the Houston Texans have demonstrated proficiency in containing the running game. For instance, in a recent match against Jacksonville 2 weeks ago, they limited Etienne to 88 yards on 19 carries. Similarly, in their last game, they held Najee Harris to just 71 yards on 14 carries. The Houston Texans offense possesses the capability to penetrate the Falcons' defensive ranks. C.J. Stroud, in particular, has displayed exceptional talent and has been pivotal in their success by avoiding turnovers. Considering these factors, it is recommended to consider the Houston Texans on the money line, especially since they are the superior team overall and offer attractive odds. Given the current state of Atlanta's offense, opting for the under 41.5 total points appears to be the prudent choice in this game. The Falcons have a 1-3 record in terms of games finishing below this point total, while Houston stands at 2-2. Both teams boast strong defensive units, and Atlanta's emphasis on a running game will contribute to consuming more clock time as the game progresses, since the clock continues to run after each play. Furthermore, the Falcons have only exceeded the 41.5 point mark in a game once this season, and Houston has managed to surpass this threshold on 2 occasions. Hence, it's advisable to select the under for this matchup. Next we have Carolina Panthers vs. Detroit Lions. The Lions have demonstrated their legitimacy this season with a convincing victory on the road against the Green Bay Packers, ending with a score of 34-20 this past Sunday. Their performance was notably dominant, effectively sealing the game's outcome by the conclusion of the first half. Brian Branch sustained an ankle injury in the third quarter, briefly returned to the game, but subsequently suffered another setback. Nevertheless, he is anticipated to be in the lineup. Branch is part of an exceptional rookie class for the Lions, which also includes talents like Sam Laporta, linebacker Jack Campbell, and Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions currently lead the NFL in run defense, which poses a challenge for the struggling Panthers, particularly in generating successful passing plays with rookie quarterback Bryce Young at the helm. The Panthers are likely to face difficulties in pass protection throughout the game, and I anticipate that Aiden Hutchinson and the aggressive Lions defensive front will consistently apply pressure on Young. Consequently, it wouldn't be surprising to witness a turnover or two from the rookie quarterback, contributing to another significant victory for the Lions. In light of these factors, it is advisable to place your bet on Detroit. The youthful Panthers had a disappointing showing last weekend, failing to put up any points in the second half and ultimately losing 21-13 at home to the Minnesota Vikings. Rookie quarterback Bryce Young completed 25 of 32 passes for 204 yards, but the Young offense faced difficulties once more. I anticipate that they will encounter similar challenges this coming Sunday. Detroit has the distinction of allowing the fewest rushing yards in the NFL, and if Carolina struggles to establish a productive ground game, they are likely to encounter the same issues they faced last week against the Vikings. I anticipate that the majority of the points in this game will be scored by Detroit, especially considering the Panthers' offense is ranked 23rd and is likely to face challenges once more. It's worth noting that in 4 of Carolina's last 5 games, dating back to last year, the total points scored have fallen below the set mark. Therefore, it is a reasonable choice to opt for the under in what appears to be a low-scoring defensive matchup, largely dominated by Detroit. Next, we have Tennessee Titans versus Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis orchestrated an intense comeback effort against the Rams last week, ultimately falling short. However, Anthony Richardson demonstrated remarkable composure in the fourth quarter while leading the charge. In the upcoming game, he will receive some assistance. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor was seen practicing this week, indicating that Indianapolis is poised to activate him off the PUP list. These two teams are well acquainted with each other, and having their star player in the lineup significantly transforms the Colts' capabilities. Offensively, Tennessee has struggled, ranking near the bottom of the NFL in various metrics. They currently have the 5th fewest yards per game and stand at the 28th position in passing yards. If Derrick Henry is unable to effectively run the ball, it's likely that Ryan Tannehill will encounter difficulties during third and long situations. Additionally, considering their performance dating back to last season, the Titans have lost 9 out of their last 11 games, with a 5-game losing streak on the road. In light of these factors, it's a reasonable choice to select the Colts as the expected winners. Despite the inconsistency of the Titans' offense in the early part of the season, their defensive performance has been strong. As they enter this divisional matchup, they have been allowing just 17.5 points per game and rank 4th in the NFL in terms of rushing yards allowed. While Jonathan Taylor is expected to make a return, it's anticipated that he will be placed on a snap count in his first game back, likely limited to 10 to 12 carries. Over their last 10 games, neither team has managed to average more than 25 points per game. Considering their familiarity with each other and the lack of a potent passing game, this contest is likely to be low-scoring. Both teams will prioritize establishing the running game, but I don't expect either to be particularly effective in doing so. It's also worth noting that in 7 of Tennessee's last 8 games, the total points scored have fallen below the set benchmark. Therefore, it's a prudent choice to go with the under for this matchup. Next, we have New York Giants versus Miami Dolphins. This marks the most significant point spread in Week 5 of the NFL, and I have no hesitation in favoring the Dolphins and giving the points. While they are recovering from a tough loss to the Bills last weekend, it's a minor setback compared to the challenges currently faced by the Giants. As mentioned earlier, New York might currently rank as one of the weakest teams in the entire NFL. New York has 3 offensive linemen and running back Saquon Barkley listed as questionable. Even if all these players are cleared to play, I still doubt their ability to match the pace set by Miami's dynamic offense. Tua Tagovailoa continues to demonstrate his capabilities, and having talents like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as his receivers certainly contributes to their offensive prowess. In the end, I expect New York to put up a few points in this game, but I anticipate Miami securing a substantial victory. Therefore, my recommendation is to go with Miami and accept the minus 12-point spread. Honestly, this situation presents an opportunity for the Dolphins to potentially surpass the total points on their own. It might require a tremendous effort similar to what they achieved in Week 3 against Denver, scoring 70-20, although perhaps not quite 70 points. Nonetheless, reaching the mid-40s doesn't appear implausible given the talent within this team, guided by offensive play caller Mike McDaniel. The matchup seems favorable for them as they face the Giants, a team that's allowing an average of 30.5 points per game, ranking 29th in the league. Interestingly, the Dolphins are just slightly ahead of the Giants in terms of points allowed, with Miami conceding an average of 29.8 points per contest, ranking 28th. Brian Daboll, known for his offensive focus, will not hesitate to let Daniel Jones throw the ball down the field if his team falls behind. If the offensive line can provide protection, the Giants should also contribute to the overall score. Given these factors, my preference is to go with the over for the game in Miami on Sunday. Next we have New Orleans Saints versus New England Patriots. This is a crucial game for both teams, as they are eager and determined to secure a much-needed victory amidst their struggles and waning confidence. The quarterback situation for both teams adds an intriguing aspect to the matchup. Jones, who was benched, is set to make his return to the lineup this week, while Carr, though dealing with a shoulder injury, is gradually recovering. The Patriots may not exert the same level of dominance at home as they once did, while the Saints have yet to cover a game against the spread this season. This marks the first game in which the Saints are considered underdogs, and I'm inclined to side with them, primarily due to the wealth of offensive weapons at their disposal. Carr, whether injured or not, boasts significant experience, and the return of Kamara is expected to provide a significant boost to the Saints. It's anticipated that this game will have a low-scoring nature, especially considering that the Patriots have raised doubts about their ability to move the ball following their loss to the Cowboys. With these factors in mind, I recommend taking the Saints with the points to cover. Betting on the under is the recommended choice for this game. When you consider the combined record of 7-1 for the under between these two teams, it becomes evident that scoring has been limited in their matchups. Both offenses are among the weakest in the sport, while the defenses perform slightly better than average. Additionally, Carr is dealing with a shoulder injury, and Mac Jones is encountering difficulties in advancing an offense that's considered average at best. Consequently, this game is likely to revolve around field goal kicking throughout the day. Therefore, it's advisable to opt for the under on Sunday. Next we have Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers. This early season matchup holds significant importance in the AFC North Division. These two teams are familiar rivals, facing each other twice annually, and a set of intriguing trends has emerged. Firstly, in the last 3 games dating back to early 2022, the visiting team has emerged victorious. Secondly, the last 6 encounters between these two teams have been decided by an average of just 3 points, including 1 game that went into overtime. Finally, in the last 10 games, the underdog not only covered the spread but emerged victorious in 8 of those contests. However, 2 of these 3 trends can be disregarded for this week's game. Firstly, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, was injured in both games against the Steelers last season, making the data from 2022 less relevant. Secondly, Lamar Jackson is currently having one of his most impressive seasons yet, displaying exceptional accuracy in his passing game, and defenses are struggling to contain him in the backfield. The Steelers have allowed an average of 403 yards per game this season, including 148 rushing yards, which doesn't bode well for their defense in this matchup. Moreover, both teams have identical overall records and records against the spread this season. Ravens 3-1, 3-1 ATS, Steelers 2-2, 2-2 ATS, increasing the likelihood that the winning team will also cover the spread. In light of these factors, it's highly likely that the Ravens, visiting Pittsburgh this weekend, will shed light on the shortcomings of the Steelers team. Fortunately for Pittsburgh, they have a bye week following this game to regroup for the remainder of the season. Expect the Ravens to effectively put points on the board, while the struggling Steelers offense will continue to search for solutions. Therefore, it's advisable to place your bet on the Ravens, laying the 3.5 points with the road team. The over-under set for this game is the lowest total among all NFL games in Week 5. This fact underscores the significant issues that the Pittsburgh Steelers have displayed so far this season. To put it into perspective, the Ravens are averaging 25 points per game while conceding 15, while the Steelers are scoring an average of 15 points and allowing 25. In simpler terms, the points scored and allowed by these two teams are the complete opposite of each other. Just adding these scores together already surpasses the listed total. Nevertheless, it's worth noting that the last 5 matchups between these two teams have concluded with the total points scored falling below the set benchmark. Additionally, the Ravens' defense has allowed only 4 touchdowns in total this season, which averages to just 1 per game. Regardless of which quarterback the Steelers choose to start this weekend, scoring touchdowns will likely be a rare occurrence. In the end, Lamar Jackson is expected to continue leading his offense and achieving impressive personal statistics in this game against the struggling Steelers. The Steelers are likely to face difficulties in keeping pace. Therefore, it's advisable to select the under for this game with a total of 38.5 points. Next, we have Philadelphia Eagles versus Los Angeles Rams. The Rams' offensive unit has maintained its ability to advance down the field, and the presence of Kupp returning to the lineup will provide Stafford with even more choices. Furthermore, their red zone offense is expected to persist in finding ways to put points on the board, especially against the Eagles, who rank 28th in terms of their opponent's red zone success. While the Rams have faced challenges against the run this season, which happens to be the Eagles' strong suit, their defense has excelled in getting off the field on third downs. Additionally, their aggressive blitzing tactics are likely to disrupt Hurts in the passing game. All in all, it's anticipated that the Rams will keep this game closely contested. Therefore, consider taking the Rams with a plus 4.5 point spread. As previously emphasized, the Eagles' defense has had a lackluster performance this season, and Stafford's accurate passing game is likely to find success in advancing the ball. The Rams rank in the top 10 for red zone success, and it's noteworthy that both of these defenses find themselves in the bottom 5 when it comes to their opponent's red zone success rate. Similarly, the Rams have faced challenges in defending against the run, and Hurts' mobility should provide the Eagles with opportunities to move the chains on multiple occasions. I anticipate that both offenses will discover avenues to put points on the board, especially considering the Eagles' struggles in pass defense and the Rams' difficulties in stopping the run, both areas of strength for their respective offenses. In summary, it's advisable to consider the over with a total set at 49.5 points. Next, we have Cincinnati Bengals versus Arizona Cardinals. Cincinnati has yet to secure a win on the road this season, but I remain confident that they will rally together this upcoming Sunday. This game essentially represents their final opportunity to stay in the competition for a division title, especially with the Ravens maintaining a formidable presence despite dealing with numerous injuries. While Arizona has outperformed public expectations to some extent, I maintain my belief in the abilities of Burrow, Chase, Mixon, and the rest of the team to secure a victory. Arizona's overall defensive performance has been below par, presenting an ideal opportunity for the Bengals to capitalize. Cincinnati should focus on establishing a strong running game with Mixon to wear down the opposing defense. This approach can alleviate pressure on the offensive line and enable better control of the game's tempo. If successful in executing this strategy, they should be able to secure a convincing victory. However, it's worth noting that this game represents their final opportunity to avoid triggering concerns among fans and observers. Therefore, it's advisable to choose Cincinnati with a minus 3-point spread. This game represents the ideal opportunity for the Bengals to demonstrate to the world that their offense remains a potent force to be reckoned with. Both defenses in this matchup have shown vulnerabilities, and it should be relatively easy for both offenses to frequently find the end zone. The primary challenge may lie in how much time each team dedicates to running the ball and controlling the clock. Nonetheless, I maintain my confidence that Dobbs will continue to affirm his value with a strong performance against the Bengals defense, which currently ranks 4th in terms of yielding the most passing yards per game in the NFL. On the flip side, Cincinnati is expected to effectively run the ball against the Cardinals' defense, which is ranked among the league's bottom 10 in this regard. It's noteworthy that Arizona has combined for at least 44 points in their games since Week 2. Considering these factors, it's advisable to choose the over for this matchup. Kansas City Chiefs versus Minnesota Vikings. First and foremost, the Chiefs have showcased their capacity to rebound effectively from early season setbacks. Guided by Patrick Mahomes, their explosive offense possesses the ability to swiftly accumulate points. Mahomes has initiated the season in remarkable form, amassing over 1,000 passing yards and 8 touchdowns. The Chiefs consistently establish themselves as one of the league's top offensive units, and they have a proven track record of covering spreads, especially when they are favored. Remarkably, the Chiefs' defense has also been performing admirably, securing a spot in the top 10 rankings for both yards allowed and points allowed. This well-rounded approach, coupled with an improved defense and a prolific offense, positions the Chiefs as a formidable adversary. They are currently facing a -4-point spread, and historically, they hold a 14-11-2 ATS record against NFC teams in Patrick Mahomes' career. Furthermore, when you take into account their historical prowess in bouncing back from losses and their overall strong performance, opting for the Chiefs at -4 seems to be a rational choice. This aligns with their recent form and their potential to secure a convincing victory. Therefore, it's advisable to select Kansas City with a -4-point spread. Opting for the over at 52.5 points in the upcoming clash between Patrick Mahomes' Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings appears to be a promising betting choice. This decision is substantiated by compelling historical data, particularly when examining Mahomes' performance in road games, which demonstrates a record of 22-14-0 in favor of high-scoring matchups. Similarly, the Vikings, when playing at home, have displayed a propensity for surpassing the over, with a record of 25-18-1 during the same time period. Both Kirk Cousins and Patrick Mahomes have delivered exceptional performances this season, even when facing formidable defenses. Despite the overall improvements in both the Kansas City and Minnesota squads, it's worth noting that quarterbacks in the NFL tend to exert significant influence on the outcome of games. With all these factors considered, it's advisable to place your bet on the over for this matchup. Next we have New York Jets versus Denver Broncos. I'm favoring the Jets to secure a victory in this game for a couple of compelling reasons. To start, the Jets have encountered some formidable opponents early in the season. With Zach Wilson gradually finding his rhythm and Breece Hall no longer being on a restricted workload, I believe the Jets are primed to notch a win against a struggling Broncos team. Notably, the Jets came close to defeating the Chiefs last week, thanks to their resilient defense and an impressive performance from Wilson. Moreover, the Broncos have struggled defensively, conceding an average of nearly 38 points per game, particularly after the Dolphins' remarkable 70-point outburst. This vulnerability on the Broncos' defense provides significant opportunities for the Jets on the offensive side of the field. Breece Hall's return is a notable factor, and he's expected to deliver an explosive performance in this game. Meanwhile, Zach Wilson is eager to validate that last week's performance was no fluke and that he is the rightful starting quarterback. Anticipate a strong offensive showing from the Jets, complemented by their consistent defensive efforts that have been a hallmark of their season thus far. Additionally, it's worth noting that both Javonte Williams and Jerry Jeudy, though dealing with minor injuries, are listed as probable for the game, which could potentially work in favor of the Jets' defense. Considering all these factors, I am confident in selecting the Jets for the win in this matchup. Opting for the over in this game is justified by several compelling factors. Initially, the line appears somewhat conservative, particularly when considering that most expectations lean toward a total in the upper 40s. The primary factor that might suggest a lower scoring game is the Jets' defense, but even with that consideration, I anticipate the Broncos to contribute a significant number of points in this matchup. The Jets' defense, on average, allows approximately 20 points per game, while the Broncos are conceding an average of nearly 38 points per game. Even when excluding the outlier game against the Dolphins, the Broncos still allow an average of 27 points per game. Although there may be some skepticism regarding the Jets' offensive capabilities, given Zach Wilson's performance last week and the fact that Breece Hall is no longer under pitch count restrictions, I expect them to accumulate a point total in the high 20s or low 30s. Additionally, the Broncos' offense is likely to emphasize passing early in the game, which may lead to turnovers. However, this approach should also result in them scoring a significant number of points, contributing to the overall team total. Examining recent trends, the Broncos have surpassed the total points line in 3 of their 4 games, while the Jets have done so in half of their matchups. Considering all these factors, I have confidence in choosing the over for this game with a total set at 43.5 points. As for final game for today, we have Dallas Cowboys versus San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers have covered the spread in both of their home games this season, which includes a 35-16 victory over the Cardinals in their most recent matchup. Their recent performance at home has been impeccable, as they've covered the spread in 9 consecutive games at Levi's Stadium, dating back to November of the previous year. Notably, the 49ers have also outperformed the spread in their last 2 meetings with the Cowboys, both of which occurred during playoff games in the past 2 seasons. In both of those contests, the 49ers defense limited the Cowboys to 17 points or fewer. San Francisco ranks prominently in various critical defensive categories when playing at home, standing 4th in the league in opponent yards per game allowed, 256, and points per game allowed, 14. Consequently, the likelihood of the Dallas offense scoring rapidly and accumulating many points, as they have in recent weeks against weaker defenses, appears to be low. Furthermore, the 49ers boast the 3rd best defense in the league overall, conceding an average of just 14.5 points per game over their first 4 games of the season. Dallas's high-powered offense has experienced some difficulties when playing away from their home stadium, ranking in the lower half of the league in terms of average pass completions thus far. This trend may be taking shape, as Prescott faced similar challenges on the road during his successful campaign last year. It's expected that the San Francisco defensive unit will capitalize on this weakness, repeatedly returning the ball to their offense and standout player McCaffrey throughout the game. Hence, the advisable choice is to side with the 49ers when they are playing at home. Dallas and San Francisco both boast high-powered offenses this season, placing them among the top 5 in several crucial offensive categories within the league. The Cowboys and the 49ers are positioned at 3rd and 4th, respectively, in the NFL when it comes to average points scored per game. Consequently, both teams possess the necessary tools to accumulate a substantial number of points throughout the game. Notably, McCaffrey is widely regarded as one of the most dominant offensive players in the league and consistently contributes multiple touchdowns to San Francisco's overall point total each week. This was particularly evident in last week's game against the Cardinals, where he scored 4 touchdowns. While the Cowboys did fall short of the point total in their recent victory over New England, it's essential to highlight that their offense still managed to put up an impressive 38 points on the scoreboard. The deviation from the point total occurred primarily due to the Patriots' lackluster offensive performance. Notably, Dallas has scored 30 or more points in 3 of their initial 4 games this season. Additionally, the 49ers have exceeded the point total in 4 consecutive regular season games played in front of their home crowd, dating back to the previous season. When considering these factors alongside various signs and trends, it strongly suggests that Sunday evening's matchup is likely to be a high-scoring affair. Hence, selecting the over for this game appears to be a favorable choice.